Epilogue. Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there lived a race of creatures known here on earth as Cosianth demons. They have been with man since the dawn of time, helping him to expand his knowledge and his abilities for the growth of civilization. The human race was almost like a pet project to such superior and mysterious beings. Humans were fledglings when it came to existence. They needed much help. They were not as close to otherworldly assistance as some other realms were. The beings had no facial features and were very muscular and masculine. They could not procreate with each other. That was not their purpose. Theirs was to mingle with other species in alien worlds on a small scale to help influence them. On Earth, that scale had gotten too large, and some intervention needed to happen before the human race advanced too quickly or destroyed itself. The Cosianth demons had come into play with Earthlings back with Eve's offspring. They had been involved ever since. The time to bow out had come, however. Earthlings had acquired, early on, the ability to increase the genetic gifts that had been given to them. That was never meant to be the case. As ignorant as the humans were, they had stumbled upon a secret that was never meant to be known. The Cosianths had at first let the humans play with their new abilities. No species before had ever done such a thing as increasing the dormant Cosianth cells. Some humans were using their increased abilities to advance their particular civilization and dominate another. Maybe that was what their influence was meant to be on Earth. The Cosianths checked, and no other species seemed to have knowledge of their inheritance or any way to increase it. It was only possible for the humans to do. Maybe it was because they were so similar in structure. There were rulers of the Cosianth world who always remained in the shadows. They set the rules that were to be followed for the world that was Earth. Different worlds had different rules, and Earth's had to be established. There was a sun for that world, like many others. It was a common ingredient to help sustain many forms of life. Its firelight was painful to the Cosianth race, so they were to stay out of it. They were also to stay out of any synthetic replication of sunlight. They were to remain undetected in order to have a proper and balanced influence. They were only to assist those people who were of the ancestry that was set in motion. If the humans ever discovered them and made up rules about them, the Cosianths would be punished by having to abide by those rules as well and still get their tasks done. The humans advanced very quickly in their 19th and 20th centuries. Perhaps it was because of an overt awareness of supernatural elements in their reality. They had incorporated a lot of radical thinking into their science that was based on extreme theories that had come from an accidental impact. Their societies were getting too comfortable, and some individuals mixed what they took for granted with the amplified Cosianth powers and perverted the uses. They were wasting the talents on self-righteous power trips that were only of interest to those specific individuals and not the race as a whole. That was an abuse of what was intended. The shadow figures decided that the rules could be bent in order for the Cosianth demons to destroy any evidence of their interference in the first place. The bent rules soon needed to be broken altogether for a brief time in order to fully accomplish the task. By the time the all-out effort was taken to reclaim the bloodline and any damning proof of the Cosianth existence, over 3% of the human race had become of Cosianth descent. It took many years from all the new births that kept trickling out, but not too long after the rules were lifted, all the people in all the countries over the planet Earth were removed who were capable of exposing the Cosianth truth. The Cosianths had removed over 450 million people from planet Earth. The Cosianths had accomplished the assignment and left no proof behind, only stories that could no longer be proved. The humans were left to advance as they were. They no longer needed any guidance from another world on how to grow. If anything, they needed help controlling the growth. They had been overly nurtured, but it was out of the best intentions. The Cosianths had a fondness for the humans who had stumbled their way into life, but the humans weren't to be interacted with anymore. The Cosianths were saddened at that. They continued to have their powerful but subtle, and most importantly, unknown sway over the lives on many other worlds, as they always would. They continued to look for new worlds that were just coming into being. They always would. They had helped all the species they had come into contact with that ruled that particular world. They and the shadow figures were those beings on their own world. They didn't know who had influence over them, and that was the way it was meant to be. They continued to do what they did best, and they lived happily ever after. The end.